It's really a peculiar moment in the BPO and SSC sector in Poland. Since I've been working in recruitment for many years, I saw a lot of changes in this landscape. And that's why I thought it would be a great idea to interview a guru who helped actually to found many BPO and SSC in Poland, basically kind of father of those sectors. So welcome here, Romek Lubaczewski.
Hello.
And I'm really honored to have Romek here. And as a seasoned recruiter, basically with always the people in mind and also very technically skilled, it's a pleasure to have Romek that will provide us with his point of view about how the sector is changing, what are the challenges, but also the opportunities that all these changes bring it to Poland, to Kraków, and in general, I would say applicable to all over the world. So thank you very much, Romek, for being with us today. And we'll be starting approaching the topic with different questions. Would you please share a glimpse into what the landscape was likely when you started and what it has become today?
Sure. I think the best way to explain the difference of the market today and yesteryear is to give you a couple of examples. So I go back to 1996 when I ran my first project in outsourcing. I literally was process mapping using a pen and a piece of paper. We had no software. So I was literally drawing a little thing going post invoice, 2 arrows, all by hand. And it took forever, I have to tell you. And then I would draw it, then try and do it in some kind of format on the PC. But it took forever. Just doing the technology side took forever. But probably the best example I ever have is when about 97 or 8, when we already had our BPO office running and we had maybe 30, 40 people, we won a new contract. And what I did was I was looking for 50 people, 50. And so we put an article in a newspaper. Imagine that in the old days, Gazeta Wyborcza. And it literally said PwC hiring. And we had 3,000 people apply on paper. So we had over 3,000 pieces of two pieces of paper stuck together with a little picture. And the whole process, I remember I had to hire 4 people just to go through 3,000 CVs to then identify 100 that we would interview or 200 that we interviewed. But we actually had more people to review the CVs than we had interviewing. And that was the market then. So we chose really the best people available in the marketplace because it was just a different market. There was much more people than jobs, and people who wanted to work in that environment was a very, it was viewed as a fantastic job. PwC, to be fair, most people didn't know what BPO was. Shared services, outsourcing was a market that no one really understood. What they thought they were applying for, which is correct, was for jobs in accounting, working for a Big 4 accounting firm. And so very prestigious job, very prestigious title. To be honest, those 50 people that worked with me in the earliest days as well, I probably have contact with 10 of them, and they are now center managers, very senior people in the organizations we have today. So it's quite a lovely thing when I go to conferences and I see someone and I go, I hired you in 97. Yes, Romek, I remember. Oh my God, I remember the interview. I remember you were really tough. I thought I wouldn't get the job, and 30 years later, they're still working in the industry in a very serious senior role. Lovely for me to look back, I have to say, a lovely experience.
Okay, thank you so much for that. We are seeing incredible growth in the sector with nearly 500,000 people employed, yet you have recently spoken about a potential net zero growth in headcount. Could you elaborate on this apparent contradiction, and what is the big picture trend for Poland and specifically Kraków in 2025?
Sure. I'd like to talk more about 25, 26 because it's October, November, so there's only 1 month, 2 months left. So I think we should look 12 months ahead. Okay, let me go back in time from 96 until 2025. The industry in total has seen growth between 10 and 20% every single year. Every year we've had growth, and really significant growth. To give you an idea, when we started, the first BPO deal was PwC, 5 people, that was it. We now have 130,000 people in Kraków in the industry alone. The way I look at that is roughly every 7th person you see walking around works directly in our industry. So in Krakow, it is a serious employer, the most serious. And that means when it's good, it's great, but when it's bad, it's going to be very bad. And that's my point, is we're not used as an industry, we're not used to zero growth. What we're used to is every year having 10, 15, 20% growth, which is good and bad, because obviously people keep leaving and joining new organizations, and organizations grow, they hire people. It's not always juniors, they hire experienced people, which has been fantastic for everyone. The employee has had the time of their life, because if you want a job, you would get a job. Well, welcome 2025. Not such a great market. The market's very tight, very tight. Very few people looking for jobs, very few people leaving. There's a general worry what's going to happen and what is going to happen. So 6 months ago, I stood on stage and I said, my view of the next 12 months is zero growth. My view of the next 12 months is actually negative growth. I foresee in Krakow, in CEE, Poland, CEE, the wider market, I see somewhere like 5 to 10% reduction in the next 12 months. And why is that? I don't see so many new organizations coming in. So that means there's no companies coming in saying hiring 200 people in a year. I don't think that's going to be so common anymore. More importantly, the world of AI has kicked in, and bosses are telling the boss of the center, they're not accepting zero cost growth. They're paying 10 million now, they're saying next year, not 10 million. No, they want 9 million. And what does that mean? Well, if you have the same amount of work, it clearly requires you to bring down cost. And 75, 80% of the cost of a center in GBS and BPO is staff, people. And so realistically, the only way you bring the cost down is to let people go. And the view of the big bosses is you can do that with automation, AI, robotics, etc. My worry is, and I see this, is I don't think AI is going to kick in to deliver 10% efficiency in the next 12 months. I do not see that. I truly do not. I do see 20% in the next 3 years, but I don't see 10% in the next year. And so what worries me is the big bosses are telling the local bosses, reduce your cost by 10%, let people go, and simultaneously try and deliver the same amount of work. That worries me. But I see the market ahead of us as very tough. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be, many companies are going to have to let people go.
Okay, thank you for that. You also mentioned a fascinating trend, the rise of insourcing, where companies bring processes back in-house, often driven by automation. What does this mean for the traditional BPO SSC model, and what new opportunities does this create, perhaps for smaller, more specialized centers in places like Krakow?
So interesting, because again, I'm not sure this is such a big deal now. I think a year ago it was a bigger trend, but it's still there. I can still see it. What I expect to happen, and I think this will continue into the future, is because companies are looking at their cost, they look at their cost of running a shared delivery center, a center itself, and they're also looking at the cost of outsourcing. Many contracts with outsourcers are 5 to 7 years, and what we're going to see over the next 5 years, we're going to see lots and lots of these contracts up for renewal. And I think personally, where I would have expected previously 90% to renew, I think that number is going to come down. I think many companies will not renew, and they're not going to renew because of the AI automation expectation, which is most of the outsourcers, we've sent the work, which is really the basic, simple stuff. The easy workload has gone to outsourcers. And there's an expectation, a very big one, that that's the exact type of work that you can automate and therefore have no people. And the expectation is therefore that when you're renewing your contract and it's 50 people in India, the question becomes, can I do it myself? Can I automate it and have 5 people? And therefore the cost is 1/10. And there are lots and lots of companies are asking themselves that question. And I think it's a brilliant question to ask. I worry a little bit because I think they're going to, 5 out of 10 companies are going to say, yes, we should do it ourselves. So 50%. What I worry is I don't think they'll deliver on that going from 50 to 5 people. I don't think you can do that anywhere. I don't think it's actually achievable. Probably from 50, taking out 10 people of the workload is more realistic. So even if you can do it, the question then is the shared delivery center, do they have the capability to automate and use AI effectively? That's also a brilliant question. Is the fact that this process is easy doesn't mean in-house I know how to automate it. And so I worry that this will happen because I'm not sure they'll deliver on that promise. I don't think that means they're going to then send it back to the outsourcer. So good news is there's more work coming back to Krakow, not the best work. But there's going to be massive demand for automation of those processes. And I think it's very stressful as well. If I was the head of the center, I would leave it with the outsourcer and really harass them to death to get the price down for them to automate it and them to deliver on the AI experience and basically deliver efficiency. I think that's a smarter thing rather than bring it in-house and hope you can do it. I wouldn't.
Realistically, better avoid it, right?
I would personally, yeah. I think they're much bigger. Their capability to automate is going to be hundreds of times bigger than mine. I've got 50 people, they have 50,000 people. So they'll have a department literally of hundreds of people just doing automation. I have none. So bringing 50 people back into my center and getting me to do it, I think there's a risk, and so I wouldn't take that risk personally.
Big challenge, better to outsource then.
I think leave it in outsourcing.
Leave it in outsourcing. Okay, makes sense. Thank you. Okay, so now we will see a part related to the AI revolution in terms of the impact and opportunities.
Yeah.
So you have just mentioned, about the leadership expectation, higher leadership, right, for AI implementation that are often unrealistic. So what is the real impact of AI on the BPO and SSC right now? And what's a more pragmatic timeline for the transformation would be like 3 to 5 years, or how do you expect to happen?
Yeah, I think it's exactly that, is the expectation of the bosses, the big guys who sit in New York and London, their expectation is AI is going to deliver in the next 1 to 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I think the realistic, achievable delivery of AI efficiencies is much more like 3 to 5 years. So I think we're out of sync. This is my biggest worry in our sector today, is the big bosses are thinking it's going to happen tomorrow. Reality is it's going to take time, and there's going to be a gap between the two. That's the thing that worries me the most, is we're going to try and force efficiency and it won't deliver. Now, everyone asks the question, so what will AI deliver? I think personally, it's in the realms of 20 to 30% in the next 3 to 5 years. I think that's achievable, realistic, and a great target. But I don't think it's 10% this year, 10% next year, and 10% the year after. I think it's more like 2% this year, 5% the year after, and then gradually going as we learn how to use AI ourselves. Because AI is a two-pronged thing within our industry, our business. Because I think it's about doing AI to us, which is one of the areas which everyone's worried about, and you should be. I worry about that. But I think there's a great, massive opportunity, the biggest opportunity in the industry full stop, is the ability for us in GBS to create AI teams. So in other words, the AI team delivering AI is actually within the GBS group, the organization itself. It's one of the areas of growth that I foresee, and that we have to go and attack it. So in other words, you can't wait to grow your AI team. I think you have to grab hold of it, tell your bosses in New York and London, and say, I want to create a 50-person AI team in Krakow. I'm going to grow it, and I will deliver AI skills back into the industry, not into GBS, but into the industry, so that if I make, I don't know, telephones, if that's the industry I'm in, then you're going to need AI in the future. Do you want 3 people in New York and 3 people in London and 2 people in Bangladesh and 2 in Shanghai? Or do you want 50 people all in one location, learning now, ready for the future? The answer is obviously that we should accumulate and create them as a team and in as few places as possible. Whether that's virtual or in reality, I don't care. But it's 50 people in one place mentally. And that's what we need to build. And this is a massive opportunity for GBS. But First of all, the boss has to go and grab it. You have to put your hand up and go, I want it in my center. I have a center in Krakow. I have 400 people. I want 450 because I want 50 people to do AI. That's one. And then the second big demand is you need to create the 50 people of skills that you need from within your organization. What do I mean by that? I don't think that the 50 new people for AI are out there waiting for a job in Krakow or anywhere in the world. To be honest, AI people are not unemployed, I would say. I think you know that better than me.
Yes, absolutely.
They're the most in-demand people in the world right now in any sector, industry, etc. What I think you should be doing, guys, is I think you should be taking your 200 people or 500 people in your centers and start training every single person you have on the basics of AI, then intermediary AI, and the people who are enjoying it, like it, and are good at it, take them further and further and further. So buy or build, well, there's no one to buy, so build them. And that's what I would be doing. I'd be using 50% of my training budget for the whole of next year. I'd be using it for AI. Forget accounts payable and accounts receivable and fixed assets and hello, how do I answer your issue? Reduce the spend on training in those areas and increase it in AI, and have the people in your business who have been taking the phone for the last 5 years, hello, this is XYZ, how can I help you? Train them in AI and ask them how can they automate what they do, because they do it. They're the best people to ask about automation. It's not take a consultant, I'm 30 years a consultant. Asking me to come into your business and tell you how to implement AI is ridiculous. Well, I don't know anything about what you do. The people who know about what you do are sitting there in your GBS organization who've been doing it for 10 years. If you ask them, what can you automate? They probably give you a list of 10 things. The problem is they don't know how to automate it. So now train them on the automation, standardization, automation, robotics, AI, everything, and then say, do it to yourself. And then train them in those areas, and then you can sell that back into the organization as a skill set for the future. That for me is saving 50 jobs, creating 50 jobs. Yeah, that for me is the big one.
So Poland and Krakow as AI hub of the future, right? This is
absolutely is exactly what you should be doing. My worry is if you wait for nature, it's going to kill us, because if you think your boss is going to sit there in New York and go, hey, I know what we'll do, we'll send it to Krakow. No, they won't. They will definitely not do that. They're going to be going, oh, I think we should have it in our office. I'd love 2 AI people sitting next door to me, because then when they deliver a project, oh, I can tell the world I did it. Rubbish, because they'll end up with 20 offices with one person in each office. That's crap. What you want them is accumulated. But do that from day one. Don't let them hire 50 people around the world and then say, let me do it in GBS. Grab hold of it, don't let go.
So proactive approach to convince the big bosses to open the AI hub here in Poland in general. Yes, this should be the right approach to win and to create new jobs rather than to decrease it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. I totally agree with that. And we see as a recruitment agency the same trend. Always more and more position becoming AI related. The classical data engineer becoming a mix between data engineer and data scientist. So more and more those candidates who developed, a mix of knowledge and also related to AI, LLM, are really needed and in demand in the market. And they, like you said, they are not unemployed. They are actually highly sought, and we are observing this not only in Poland, but working also in Bulgaria and other countries is exactly the same picture we are seeing in Poland, I would say widely all over the world valid, right?
Yeah, indeed. But I go back to a key point I wanted to make. When you look at the logic of the future, right, which is I want to redesign and implement efficiency in my process. You need 3 things. You need knowledge of the process. You have that. It's a guy sitting there doing the job for the last 10 years. You need knowledge of the business itself, so the environment, the culture, the people out there in the marketplace who I work with. Again, you have that because your guy's been working 10 years for you. XYZ, I've been here 10 years, I've been doing this job for 10 years. So, and the next one is the skill on how to implement the AI tool or the robotic tool. Well, that you don't have in-house. But you've got the other two. So 3 things. Do you hire an AI guy from the marketplace and train him on the 2? Or do you get the 2 and hire him and train him on the 3? The answer is a bit of both, to be honest. But I think take the 2 and build the 3, and then hire a few people who are very, very skilled in the space and let them train and be more helpful to implement the changes within the AI robotic space.
Do you think that, considering that there are a lot of people passionate about, AI, I am one of that actually, using from day one, a lot of different tools. Do you think it would be a great idea to create some kind of champions inside the company that will be specifically trained, that then will spend time and sharing knowledge with their colleagues, maybe one per team, and being cross-functional, around, the different teams, and so that to create also an AI culture, that could be highly good, contagious, with the others, showing a process that has always been done in the same way, could be automated and improved by using AI. What do you think about that?
I think it's exactly what I would be doing. Again, rather than bring in AI, automation, restructuring people from outside into the business, I'd be saying build them within and let them change the world we live in from the knowledge that they've had because they've been working here 10 years. It's exactly what I would be doing. I think training, I tell you a great example is, I don't know how many years ago, 5-6 years ago, PwC in London sent every single person in consulting on basic robotic training, basic. The logic was, robotics was the big thing 5-6 years ago. It was as big as AI is now, that's robotics. It shows how quickly the world changes. They trained every single person in consulting on the basics of robotics. The logic was that every single time then that consultant went to talk to a client, they could show skills and knowledge around robotics because clients were asking about it all the time. And secondly, it meant every single consultant, when they went to do projects, could identify areas that go, wait a minute, I think we can robotize that. I think we can automate this. Why? Because they understand what you can robotize and what you cannot. And for me, it's the same with AI. If you gave everyone in the organization basic AI, what you would do is do basic AI, do a test at the end. The people who do really well in the test win an award, and the award is training into stage 2. Great reward. And what you do then is you ask people, did you like it? Yes. Then you can do more. Did you like it? No. Don't do more. Learn a new language, because that is also helpful for the development. I'll be honest, Alessandro, I know you're big into AI and you show me all these gadgets. It's fantastic. I have not used chatbot things. I haven't used them. I don't know how it works, to be really honest. AI tools, haven't used them myself. Will I ever? I don't know, probably. But the reality is I don't see the need yet, and you can't really make me, and I don't want to, right? And there are going to be people, dinosaurs like me, but the great news is I'm old. The younger people think it's the new normal, and so take that passion, build on it, let them expand and let them develop into the space they want to. That for me is a no-brainer.
I think, is an exceptional piece of advice, and I don't believe you are a dinosaur, because, you're always very fresh-minded, and I totally agree with your view, and I think it's really, really interesting, so thank you for that.
Cool.
You have rightly pointed out that AI is dependent on the standardized process and structured data, and which many companies lack at the moment, right? This highlights critically skills gap. From your perspective, what are the 3 most in-demand skills and roles that companies are struggling to find right now to make their AI ambitious a reality?
Yeah. Right. Well, obviously, the first one would be that whole skill of AI and delivering projects, not theory, but delivering projects. This is probably the most in-demand skill. And what's amazing, of course, is every conference I go to, every time I meet a boss of a center, they go AI, the whole conversation's around AI. And I ask the question, have you delivered a project? And the answer is no, not yet, not yet. We're working on projects, Have you delivered? No, not yet. That's the bad news, is I think the real practical delivery of AI is very, very small, meaning there aren't many people out there in the marketplace who have actually delivered a successful AI implementation in our industry in GBS. So that's the bad news. There's not many of them. The good news is there's not many of them means we have a magic opportunity to build them. And this goes back to, you can't buy them anyway. Anyone who has the experience now costs as much as the centre head. So paying for them is an enormous, and it's a risk because they may not deliver. It goes back to a point, is build or buy. It's exactly that point, which is there isn't anyone to buy, guys. So you have the choice of build or buy, but there's only one option. It's actually build. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be creating the environment to take great people we have who know the process, know the organization, know the culture, know the people, know everything about it, know what's broken, what works and what doesn't work. Take those skills and add the AI, automation, roboticization, whatever you want to call it, skill set to that person, give them, train them, give them the ability to learn more, and then ask them, do it to yourself. Train them to look inwardly at the process. You mentioned a point, and it is a really great one, is I always use this as an example, which is you have a process, it's completely rubbish. I like the word shit. It's shit, the shittiest process you've ever seen in your life, and you have 5 people working on it when everyone knows it needs 1, but the process is broken. Every step you need to take, you have to take 2 steps back. This signature's not here, this person hasn't done this, the button isn't clicked in the organization. So you go forward, you go back, and everything takes forever, but it isn't because someone's crap at their job, it's just because the process isn't defined in the right way, and the people aren't doing the right thing at the right time. Right, you have that process. Now, add a robot, add AI. Do you know what's going to happen? Absolutely nothing, because it's broken. It doesn't work effectively. The process isn't a smooth line, it's like this. And a process like this, you can't add AI to it and go, off you go, AI, make it automated, because it won't work. Because it's dependent on someone in a different country pressing a button, and there's no robot pressing that button. So the reality is, in order to succeed in AI, this is why I think it's a 3 to 5 year journey, not 12-month journey, is you need to actually work on the process and the data. You mentioned data, brilliant. Is you have data in 27 different places. Well, you need to accumulate it into one. You need to standardize the data. You need to standardize the process. Once you've done that, AI will kick in and you will achieve magic results from 5 to 1, but you're going to have to spend time, effort, energy, training to get there, to be able to eliminate the workload. And I think, to be honest with you, that problem has been there since I first started 30 years ago. Every time we ever looked at a process, the process is not optimal, it's broken. And instead of adding a new control, instead of adding another process step to get around the problem's still there. The problem is there. Remove the problem is actually the real change we need to do for AI to then kick in. And I think historically we haven't succeeded. Robotics 10 years ago when it first kicked off, I'll give you a great example here. I remember literally going to London to meet a guy who explained to me robotics 12 years ago, good friend of mine. He sat there all day. I finished the evening, we went for a beer, and he said, "What did you think?" I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about for the whole day. I don't get it." And so I came back to the office. I spoke to the guy in my team who has the most IT experience and like things like this. I spoke to him. He goes, "Yeah, I've read a few articles." I sent him to London for the week. He learned, came back. We set up a robotics team, which is now 10 years later, 75 people, or 100 even probably now. And the reality was that I needed the guy who understood and was interested in it to get involved. Getting me involved would have meant there was no one doing it today. Now we have 100 people. Do you get me? It's about passion. It's about the right person doing the right thing. And it's not the boss always. It's the boss's ability to find that person is the skill you need. Accept it's coming. AI is coming, guys. I'm telling you 100%. AI is on the way. It's already here. The question is, how do you effectively get there? First of all, stop everyone thinking it's a 12-month journey. It is not. It's a 3 to 5 year journey. Step number 2 is get everyone to realize it's about process, standardization, data standardization, getting everything aligned in the right way, and then it will come. But then use your people you have is the big one for me. The biggest probably is standardization, and then train your people for the future, guys. Geez, I want Krakow to be half the 130,000 people in 5 years' time need to be AI gurus. That's what we need to save our industry to a certain extent.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So identifying the champion of AI, first of all, people who has passion, maybe technical abilities and desire to learn, right?
Yeah,
that can also be able to communicate once he learn, to the others and create this good contamination in terms of tools, capability on how to automate existing, like work. So it's not an easy work, but like you said, I think the role of the leader of the center, or the company in general would be to know his people as first, find, who has the passion and try to find who is really interested.
That's it.
Because an investment, right, for the company, and you want to retain this kind of champion that then will influence others to work with AI, being on the back of AI and automate the process and,
Alessandro, exactly, my friend. That's it. Okay. Easy.
Easy. Thank you. So based on this, what is your single most important piece of advice for BPO and SSE leader in Poland who wants not just to give, to survive basically, but to thrive in this new era? And where should they be focusing their investment and strategy right now?
Yeah. Okay. So I think two big things. One is expect no growth. So in terms of what you're used to in the last 5 years, every year 10%, 15% more stuff, that's finished. So it's a new world. I think you need to understand that norm of constant growth has gone, right? So first you have to accept this, very big point. And why do you need to accept this? You need to then understand, because it's not going to grow, then every year that your boss is asking you to reduce cost by 5%, you can't hide it by adding 10% of new staff. You can't hide this. Now you have to find the way to bring the price point down. So you have to eliminate people. You're going to have to do this. You have to bring the cost down. 80% of the cost of running a center is staff. It's maths. It's not complicated. So your bosses are pushing you to reduce costs. The only one we can do that is you can't grow. Right. So number one for me is you've got to look for new scope of work. You can't sit and wait for the bosses to give you new work. I think you have to be much hungrier, more demanding, and I think you have to go and hunt for work. So if you don't do legal work, go and find a way to work and bring into your center legal work. If you don't do call center work, customer service, find a way to bring that in. Go into the company you work for, find what the hell is out there that you could do and go and grab it.
So extending the scope of...
In every single direction that you've never thought of before, find new work, right? I think you have to do this, have to. Next, and that's the big one, because if you're not doing that, you are going to shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink, right? So, and at some point you're going to be so small you will be irrelevant, and that's we can't let that happen. So don't let that happen. Go and find new scope. Second one is, I think there's new work coming that doesn't exist. New work in the organization. The two big ones for me are around AI automation, and the other one is around data. I think both of those are going to explode in volume of work within the organization. So if the organization has 10,000 people, I'm telling you in a year's time, 1,000, 10% of them will be working AI and data driven workload. And my point here is that's coming, so go and grab it. But there's nothing to grab because there is no one doing it. So what my thing is here, I think you have to put your hand up to your boss, your big boss, and say, we need to start building skill sets around AI, automation, anything in that space, and around data mining, managing, blah, 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 everything. It's coming, we're going to need it. Right, boss, I will do it. I will do it in Krakow. I will do it in Bucharest. I will do it in Budapest. I will do it in the center we have. Don't go out and hire 50 people in 50 countries. Let me start developing that skill set in the center. And at the beginning, become experts on our own processes. So develop AI skills around accounting because we do accounting. But then when I've got the skill, I can take that back into the organization. So I'll have 50 people with practical experience doing work on ourselves, ready to go and do work into the organization. And that 50 will then be 100, will then be 200. So as fast as you lose work because of the AI cost demand on you in Krakow, I think you need to equally be growing in the other direction, to be building a skill set for the future. Now, there's a risk. What happens if the organization doesn't need that skill? Okay, it's a risk. I'd rather take that risk than wait for it to happen to me. In other words, for the organization to build those skills, AI and data skills, everywhere else in the organization but in my center, to then find out I missed the boat. I think that's a bigger risk than building the skill set and not needing it. I'm telling you, the organization will need it. I can't tell you when, I don't know. Is it a year away? No, it's probably more like 2 or 3 years away. But the reality is, I'm telling you, everyone out there who's listening, is there'll be massive change in that space, meaning we need one person to needing 10. So 10x of what we have right now in data mining, data managing, in AI, in robotics, in these specific areas. I see exponential growth, and it's your opportunity to maintain your headcount in your office. That's, for me, the big one. Yep.
So the proactive approach wins, basically.
Yes. If you sit and wait, you have lost. I'm telling you right now, you will lose. You've lost. You've got to be ahead of the game.
Okay, that makes sense. I think in every aspect of life and business, yes, this is like the proactive approach is always paying off. And to wait for things to happen is not really the right thing, because we are not back to the good old times where business was just coming to Krakow, and that we all experienced this fantastic growth that Poland and Krakow had. But I think this, like you say, these days are over, and we need to fight with different weapons. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and now we gave a piece of advices for the head center leader and for the professionals, the talents, yes, that works in this sector every day. What are the 2 or 3 top 3 tips for them to stay ahead of the curve? What should they be learning? How they can make themselves indispensable in this very AI-driven new world? Yes.
Yeah. I do think the jobs are going to change. I do, and therefore, if you're sitting there and you work in accounts payable and you're inputting invoices, I think that job will almost disappear, certainly within the next 3 or 4 years. So if you do nothing, you will probably be unemployed when all of that happens. So really, the question is, you do something or don't do anything. Well, if you don't do anything, you're going to lose your job. So that's kind of stupid. So I think you have to, not can you, but you have to start realizing that the market will change, is changing. And for you to be ahead, which is the brilliant thing, if you're ahead of the curve, you get paid more. It's a smart thing here, guys, is start thinking about, I do my process, it's a skill. Don't think that because you've been doing your process for 10 years and the process is going to disappear, that means your skill has disappeared with you. No. The reverse. What you've got is so much knowledge about how to do the process, what's broken, what you've changed previously, how to improve it, what's commonly wrong. All of that is super gold information. What I think you need to do is take that gold and build on it by looking at how to improve processes is the skill set, I think, which will be worth the money. So if you're going in an interview and you say, I've done this job for 10 years, I know how to do it, I'm brilliant, good. What about the next guy who comes in and says, I've been doing this job for 10 years and I've improved in the following 5 areas and implemented robotics here and here, which didn't work. And I've implemented AI, which worked a bit, not as much as I hoped. But what I've been doing is looking at how to use data, because that's my passion. Get me? This guy interviewing, the second one has got the job and you have not got the job. So I think you need to start thinking about where the employer is looking for skills, and it isn't now just process. It's not just, that's not enough anymore. I think you need to have the skill set, mindset, maybe more mindset about improvement. How do I improve the process that I know really well? What's broken, how to improve it, and how to use tools. I think that's a big one, is when you go home, Google every week for 10 minutes, tools for, and a broken bit of the process. What tools are out there? None. Oh, there's a tool. Read about the tool. Ask your boss if you can go and practice with the tool. Ask if you can ring the guys who make the tool and ask if you can use a pilot. Practice on it. You don't have to buy it immediately. I think people who have got this mindset of understanding change is coming will be the people who win. So there's not really 3 or 4 tips I'm telling you. It's a more mindset. Your job is changing. Someone, or the bit of typing that you do right now will probably be automated. Your job will be understanding what bits should be automated, how to automate them, what tools to use around it, how to implement better controls environments, because robots and AI, you can't just let them do it. You have to control what they're doing. So there's a job there as well, and understanding you need to control them. So I think it's a bit about passion, Alessandro, as well, about don't think that because your job's disappearing, you're not worth much. You are worth a ton because you know the process. And the boss wants the guy who knows the process to understand he needs to change the process. That's the skill they're looking for. So be passionate about the future being change. Change is the one that's coming around the corner. I think that's the big one.
So changeability, good critical approach towards existing processes, right?
Yeah.
And I believe especially in IT where, IT professionals in Poland are engineers, not just coders, and they have this good critical approach, which is noticed by a lot of our clients when we find, for example, developers from Poland that they come and they say, okay, we have experience to do this in a different way that can be improved. So all of this must be translated in all the aspects of the actual process, to challenge the actual process, automate it with AI when possible, and if possible, of course, and in the right way. So having the skills and the knowledge, the business knowledge, because this is lacked by the external consultant that maybe knows AI but doesn't know the internal procedures of the company. That's why you mentioned that we should create this expert in AI but not buy it from outside, because they will be more expensive and they will lack basically the business knowledge, basically.
Correct. Yes, exactly. And the culture of the business as well. Every company is different. So it's also, don't forget the element of knowing people. So the ability for you to change something by knowing the person at the other end of the process means you pick up the phone. Hey, John, how are you? Hey, how's everything? How's your wife? How are the kids? And blah, blah, blah. Is gold as well. It's magic because you know the people within the organization, the culture of the organization. Bringing in an external consultant or an external guy who knows AI but doesn't know anyone, knows no one, his ability to change the world we live in is much smaller because he doesn't know anyone. There's I know everyone. Hello, can you help? By the way, there's a problem, can you help me with it? Is knowing the person makes it, much more successful. Ability to be successful is based on your knowledge of people as well. A skill that, again, is gold. You can't buy that. So, I think it's really important to use the people we have today and not bring them from outside. I think it's really crucial.
People makes all the difference even in the AI era, basically.
Of course, yeah. Ultimately, you're taking the work away from someone, so you need to talk to the someone, yeah?
Yes, thank you. So Romek, thank you very much about the very valuable insights you provide us during this interview. It is clear that BPO and SSE sector in Poland is changing a lot, thanks to AI, thanks to everything what is happening in the market now. And I would say that the key takeaways for me would be first that, people should have the knowledge about the processes, should have the knowledge about process automatization and engineering. And I think the most important part should be the right mindset. The mindset that the existing process can be changed, can be simplified, can be automated. And also to have the genuine passion about learning, about continuous learning, and embracing, everything what AI is offering in terms of automatization. So knowing the business, you then know, once you know also the tools, the AI tools, the right AI tools, how to automate it, and you can support actively and proactively your business to change, to become more agile, more efficient, I would say, yes. So if you are one of these candidates, we are always hiring with IT Selecta and AI Selecta, companies where I'm working, those kind of people that are very in demand in the market. So basically check out, our vacancies or get in touch directly with me. I would be very happy to talk to you, myself or my recruiters, of course. And if you are one company looking for those kind of people, this is our cup of tea. We have an English guy today, so this is a good one. We would be very happy to assist you like we are doing since 10 years with many different companies in Poland and abroad. So thank you very much once again, Romek, for being with us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Alessandro. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, always a pleasure to have Romek and to have insightful conversation. It's always an opportunity for me to learn different things. And so thank you very much, and stay tuned for the next interviews always in our IT Selecta YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.